July 4th Eve. It's Ashley with Paint It Up. Welcome to the replay. We are going to paint a fun, like, horse from one of the tracers from my Art Girls group this month onto a Hobby Lobby sign. This is Howdy Partner. And I can't decide. I think I'm just going to let it be like a fun background because I could do it this way, but I don't know. Then I'm left with like a bunch of space over here, and I really don't want a bunch of space on it. So I think I'm going to do it that way. So this was a clearance sign. I think I paid $2 for it, and I'm just using it to paint. Hope you're having a good day. If you're interested in getting this tracer, type the word new in the comments, N-E-W, and it'll send you the link so you can paint one too. I'm just going to use some carbon paper, and I'm not even going to worry about covering up my background right now. I'm just going to trace it out like you would do, okay? And then we will worry about I'm not doing like a really detailed trace. I'm just doing a real quick trace because I'm going to paint over all this anyway. So do you got big plans for the 4th? I don't. Just staying at home, eating some hash. Don't know if you eat hash where you're from, but I do, and I like it. I like it on rice, over rice, not on a bun. But I love me some hash. So our church is selling some for a youth fundraiser, so we're eating hash. I mean, I like a burger on 4th of July, but I think we're gonna do a hash and barbecue. Okay, so I got my little horsey sketched out. So there's a rough sketch of it. I'm not worried about the fact that it says Howdy Partner on there. I could care less about that. Okay, I'm gonna go right into just painting the background and adding whatever on it. But I need a big brush because I got a big area to cover and we ain't got time to be here all day painting. Right? We got things to do. I think that I want to go with like a very like neutral background because I'm wanting it. I titled this Vanilla Horse because it's a white horse. So I want to go with a neutral background and then do the horse like white too. So I'm going to paint the back like this tan color. Fun fact, this color is kind of becoming, it's coming back. So I'm just going in, and I'm probably going to use a little white too, but I'm just going around my tracer, and right now I'm just using this to go around the edge of everything. And this has like a little white background, so I'm going to try to help blend that out a little bit when it gets to that time. So I'm just painting around my tracer. And I'll still be able to sort of see behind these leaves. So I'm going to do a little bit of this background color. I can still see through where my lines were. So I'm just going to paint over them. I was walking down the stairs before I come on here and took a whole chunk out of my arm. So, hey, Daddy. Took a whole chunk out of my arm. And there's a piece of, like, hair on there. And so, my arm's hurting. All right, so I'm going to go in and I've just got sort of like the background, you know, kind of painted in with that tan color. And then I'm going to go in with, and if you're interested in grabbing this tracer, like I said, if you type new in the comments, it will send you a link to this one and a few other. I haven't added all the new ones yet. I'm getting there. It's just a very time-consuming process. So it takes a hot minute, but I'm getting, this one is on there. This one is there. So this is my little vanilla horse for this month. All right, so let's see. I'm liking that pretty good. You can still see some of the letters, but I'm going to come back and work on it a little bit more. But for now, we've got the background going, and I know you can see those letters on the horse. You can paint over the background first. I don't like to do that because that's an extra step, and I'm all about instant gratification. I don't stress over it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't stressing over that. We'll cover it up eventually. So, all right, let's go ahead and just start by putting like some white on the horse, especially like where his little fur, that ain't fur, what's that called, hair? Yeah, his hair is, and those letters are, because we know we want to cover that up. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a coat of white on that, because I know I'm going to need more than one coat on it. And my horse is going to be white. Even though technically a white horse is not like super bright white, I'm going to do a coat of just plain bright white first. And then I'll slowly add in the, that like background color. This is going to be like a very neutral painting. Hence, Vanilla. That's his name, Vanilla Horse. Vanilla. Yeah. So we've got a coat of white on there. I'm gonna go ahead and do a coat of white on his eyeball too. Just helps, you know, you can still see I can still see my trace lines, so you'll still be able to see those carbon lines where you traced it out, but it just makes it a little bit easier when you're trying to do it all. So I just went in and put a coat of paint on our horsey, okay? Hey Sherry, hope you're having a good day. All right, so we got a coat of, I'm actually gonna like push y'all just a little bit closer. That way y'all can see a little bit better. Take my big old head out of it. Okay. So now that I've done that, I want to start by using the white and this background color to add a little bit of shading. So I'm going to go around like where you would have traced it and had those lines. I'm going to add in some dark there with this background color. And I'm using like a little angled brush, and I'm going to do it where the background is too. So this is going to be, it's not like a monochromatic painting or anything like that, but I'm just trying to use like very like muted tones. Let me tell y'all what I said and did last night. My cabinets, my house was built in 2009. We did not build it, but it was a custom home that was built by someone, and so like, you know, it has like the 2000s like style, early 2000s style, which some of it's kind of coming back, but I'm like, you know, I want to update it. So I was putting it in a ChatGPT last night, like trying to like get like a new style for my house, and I was like, chat, help me like modernize my house and give it a new feel and do some updating on it. And I need about $50,000 so that I can redo my house, okay? Oh my gosh, I was so excited when I seen it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so pretty. So, anyways, yeah, loving it. And I actually think I want to pull in just a little bit of gray. I might actually just put like black on a plate and use the black mixed in with the white. I've got like a little bit here left over from something I was doing earlier today. But just to make like a gray with the white. And I'm going to use that for in his hair. And I know it looks really harsh right now, but I'm going to come back and soften it a little bit. So I'm going over around like some of the places in his hair. I need to give his hair some depth, you know, and this will do it. He's got to have some flowy horse hair. So I've come in with like the gray, okay? And then I'm going to soften it so it's not so harsh with this white to give a little shadow. And I'm going to make his hair darker than his body. So he will have like a more of like a creamy colored looking hair. Might actually end up using like a little bit of yellow maybe. I don't know. Maybe like some yellow. Not a lot of yellow, but I'm actually probably going to come back and darken this background up. Maybe just a smidge. Because I kind of think his hair would look good being the background color. And the background being a little bit darker. Maybe even doing gold. But then that kind of takes away from like vanilla. The vanilla horse. You know? Let's just go with it. So, I mean, if you say a horse is vanilla, you don't want to do gold, because gold is not vanilla. Gold is extra. It's chocolate with chocolate chips and chocolate syrup. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just using the guide of, I'm using the, I'm looking at a picture over here. I'm using the letters as like my guide to sort of guide me, lines that I had. I'm using those. And I might need to I'll probably end up switching to like a thinner brush so that I can sort of get thinner like hair like brush strokes in here. Okay. I love horses. Horses are so majestic. They're so majestic. Yes. Oh yeah, that is so true. And they could like choose whatever color they wanted to do for their horse. That would be really cool to be able to kind of choose their color and style of their horse. That would be awesome. You definitely need to do that. I'm gonna come in and add a little gray in his ears. And again, I don't go for photorealism because I ain't that good, okay? But I do want to create, you know, realism somewhat to him. Alright, and I want his like nose to be a little more gray. Like he's got sort of a gray nose and mouth. It kind of goes up like that. use that gray over the top of this. So this is kind of where we're getting, okay? Oh yes, that would be so cool. Like, I love doing like team building stuff. It's always fun. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm trying to create like this muscular like jaw with the shading, and I'm just going over the lines that are already like on the tracer. So the tracer helps you so much, okay? That's why I have them. Makes it so much easier. And that's what I found when I was like doing paint classes and stuff. And I know, Sherry, you're kind of in the thick of like that with paint classes. Sometimes it's just hard to like have to like come up with the painting and sketch it out and all that. So that's why I'm like, I want to like have like tons of resources that people can just use, because that was like my biggest like hiccup a lot of months, was like, what can I paint? What can I do? What's going to be popular? So, you know, and sometimes you don't know, you're just guessing, but I try to like think and look ahead to like, you know, sometimes you don't really know trends and you just guess, but, I try to pay attention to them. I'm not a trendy person by default, but I try to pay attention to trends, as hard as it is sometimes. So I'm going in and adding a little white in the hair to kind of help give some highlights, and like, I'm actually kind of liking the fact that the background is a little bit like almost matches the horse. I kind of like that. Now his eye, I want to do like brown, like just straight brown, not really any like, I just need a little dollop of brown, and I want to go in and just fill in. And the reason I'm going ahead and doing his eyes, because I just need to be able to see it, you know? It's like sometimes you just have to kind of visualize stuff. So this helps me to sort of visualize his eye and what I want it to look like. Okay, he doesn't have a highlight in his eye right now, but I mean, he looks a little scary right now, but I promise he won't look scary. It's because I don't have a highlight in his eye. He needs a little highlight in his eye. And I have like a little eye over here, so I'm just going to do a little bit of dark over there, and then let the white come down over the top of it. So it's kind of like his eyes sort of hiding over here a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to go in and sort of outline and give his nose some shape. And he needs to have like his nostrils. He needs his nostrils done, because right now he's not breathing on his own. He's having some trouble breathing. So I'm going to go in, and I've got these lines on there, like where the dark goes and then where it would kind of transition to more of like a lighter color. So I'm doing that to create the depth for his nose. Because I want it to look like he has he's got a nostril. And then I want to do the same thing over here. I'm just adding like a little bit of black over there. And I'm going to come around the bottom of this nostril and add a little white, so it kind of looks like it's got a little actually I might need to make that just a little bit dark, like wider maybe. they come out just a little bit. I don't want to get it too black, so I'm being cautious. I'll hold it up so you can see it when I get done, but need maybe a little brown instead of black right there. Good thing is if you mess it up, you can just fix it. So let it dry and then paint over it. Yeah. So now he's got like a nostril, which is what we want. Thank you. Oh God. Hey, I just accidentally came across your live. Yay. I just sent you a message to check on you and see how you were feeling since your surgery. I just was checking on you. Hopefully you're not in too much pain. I think his eye needs to be a little bit lighter because his eye looks really dark with the, oh yeah. Yeah. And you know, horses has got these like buggy eyes. So, I don't want him to look mean though. I want to make sure I don't like have him like furrowing and he ends up looking mean. So, I gotta work on that. I don't want him to look like he's mad. Or she, I don't know. Is it a boy or a girl? I don't know, but I'm giving him some lashes because, you know, horses has got good lashes. So, it's going to be a girl. She going to be sassy. That's what she's going to be. So, there's her little eye up close, kind of, so you can see it. Oh, well, I guess that's good. I mean, frustrating, but good that they rescheduled it, you know. It's kind of one of those things where it's like you want to get it over, but at the same time, sometimes it's like a relief, especially you had all that stuff going on for, you know, 4th and all this stuff, so that makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to, you know. Okay, so I'm actually going in and defining the little mouth and making a little bit of a darker part for the mouth here. My paint's drying faster than I can do anything with it, so that's kind of frustrating me a little bit. It's the way it goes sometimes. And I'm using this little tiny brush. Okay. All right. So yeah. Love it. Vanilla Horse, you're looking good. You're looking sassy, girl. You looking sassy. All right, so there we are so far. Okay. And I'm really just, honestly, I'm not going for like perfection, but I do want her to be like, you know, somewhat realistic, but just mainly just having fun with her. You know? I say it's a girl. I'm going to say she's a girl because I feel like she needs to be a girl. That's just my preference, you know. Everybody's different, but I'm trying to sort of create a little bit of an illusion. And here's a trick. This is just what I like to do. I love to pull up a picture of like a horse that I want to look at. And now with AI, you can do stuff like that without having to, you know, Don't be all coming at me about AI, but it is sometimes easier to like give you like a, I think I might have messed his nose up. I got a little carried away. Got a little carried away with the nose. But you can, you know, make like a little mock-up or whatever. Like I usually will draw it out, then I do a mock-up until I have a chance to paint it because, you know, I can't paint all these pictures beforehand. There's just no physical way I can get them all done. I love my little vanilla horse too. I don't know why I said vanilla, but like I just I just like the vanilla part. I just thought it was cute. Vanilla horse, that's her name. Okay. It's my vanilla horse. All right, I'm gonna pull her nose up just a little bit. All right, then I'll come back and I need to work on her ears a little bit more because I haven't done anything with that. So I want to work on her ears some. And like, I want to create a little bit more of like a bridge for her nose. So I'm gonna do that by using this like vanilla like color for this like taupey color. And just add a little bit right there. Not much, but just a little bit. Sometimes you gotta smear it with your fingers, you know? I just wanted to create a little bridge there. Okay. All right, so next we need to do, I do want to work on the ears a little bit because they're looking a little crazy. So I do need to work on those and kind of straighten them out a little bit. I want to create the illusion that that ear is kind of like, you know, coming around the front right there. Let's use a little bit of that gray. And then this part is like the back of the ear. And you're sort of seeing the front. Right there. Yeah. Might actually could make it a little bit darker. Not much. And then this ear, I just need to do more dark on it going out a little bit further. The dark needs to go out almost to the edge and do like a white little border, like is like the edge of the ear to create a little highlight on the ear like that. So then we got that. Yeah, look at her. Hey, little horsey. Yeah, she's too pretty to be a boy. She's gotta be a girl. Actually, you know, as crazy as it sounds, I think I'm gonna use a little bit of like orange as orange. If you're doing brown, sometimes you can use orange for like a little highlight of the brown, and it'll help to like make the eyes pop a little bit more. So I'm actually going to use just a little bit of orange in there in the eye. And I think I like that. I think that gives me like what I wanted as far as like the, and I'm actually also going to come back right here along the bottom of his chin, her chin, not his chin, her chin. And I'm going to add like a little bit more shadow and use a little bit more of the gray. Because I want to pull that, I want to pull her chin out further. So that's how I can create like a little bit more of a shadow, is by pulling gray or a darker color underneath like this little line of the chin right here. And what that does is it just creates the illusion that her chin is just like here. If I pull my chin out, this is all darker right here, and I want to highlight this. So that's what we doing. And then I'm actually gonna need a little bit of a bigger brush because I can't pull it down anymore. So, but what that does is it creates the illusion that her head is in front of her body a little bit more. Just helps to create a shadow. That's all it's doing. And that's how you get that dimension with the shadows. The shadows. Okay. And then I want her body to kind of come over this way just a little bit. I'm taking off my shadow, adding this black on here, adding her body on there. There we go. All right. And so what that does is that helps elongate her torso a little bit, or her body. So there we go. Never know this was a Hobby Lobby sign. Never would know. Okay, so I need to put a little bit more in the background because you can see the words over here before I do this little piece of greenery. So let me get my background and let's just go back over where the letters were with my background color. I kind of want to put another color in the background, but I just don't know what. I really like this green. I'm wondering if I could pop in just a little bit of green because I'm going to use greenery at the bottom. So maybe just a hint, not a lot, mixing it with that like cream color. So we're going to use it anyway, so we're going to use green in the greenery. Okay, I'm using like a sagey like green. And I'm just going in and adding like little brush strokes through the background. So it just adds just a little touch of green in there. She cute. She's cute. Okay, now let's go and do our green. And I'm gonna stick with that sagey color. I may add a little white to it, but this is just like a little sage green, and I'm just going in and adding this little bit of greenery to her. Like down here at the bottom. And filling it in. And I might end up having to go back and add a little bit more in a few places, but I'm just trying to go in and fill in. And this was traced out. I can still see it a little bit. There's, I lost a few of my lines, so I'm improvising, but I couldn't decide between this one or the pig today, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna paint a horse. And then we need to add like the little lines in there. You can actually see like you can actually see the little badge behind it, but I think it's okay. And I'm not gonna stress over it. And of course you can choose not to even add, like, you know, if you're like, I don't really want to add a piece of greenery in there, you don't have to put it, you can just leave it off. But Okay. My line's got a little thick, but all right, so let's look at this. Yes, it would be so pretty as a unicorn. Oh my gosh, it would be so pretty. Thank you, Missy. I'm kind of thinking about making like that fade a little bit more in down here. I don't know, like I feel like the leaves sort of need to sort of fade out a little bit too. Sort of similar to the unicorn. Yeah, it would be really cute. Is it all you'd have to do is add a horn right there, like going up, and it would be such a cute unicorn. That would be an easy transition. Okay, and I'm gonna add like just some like really thin like little lines kind of coming out. My hand is not very, some days I can do really thin lines and then other days I struggle. So I'm kind of adding like a little, you know how like a horse, sometimes they have that little like wreath around them, like, you know, you see, you know what I'm talking about? That's kind of what this sort of, I'm trying to like maybe replicate a little bit. There's like a little wreath around my horse's neck. Okay, so there's kind of like our little bit of like green in there. Yeah, it would be so cute with some pink. I love that. All right, let me see. I want to work on her eye just a little bit more before, I want to add a little bit more, I kind of feel like she needs like a little bit of a more almond shape instead of round. So I'll kind of work on that a little bit, but it's fine. And then over here, I want to make this like a little bit darker because that would technically be where her other eye would be. And you know, horses' eyes, they kind of pop out a little bit. So, and I'm going to darken up this part of her ear a little bit more. Like I'm wanting to create that it like goes down in there, like it's, you know, deep. Like it has some smudged a little bit. Ooh, that might be too dark. Let me use a little brown. I don't want it to be too dark. Maybe it won't be once it dries, but it felt really dark, so I'm toning it down a little bit. So there's kind of the difference. I might need to pull it in just a little bit more, but it's easier for me to kind of tell what I need to do by looking at the camera. So I'm not like needing validation or nothing. It's easier for me to kind of see like the where I need to shade, because I'm looking at it like here, and it, you know, sometimes it's better to like look at it from a distance or turn it around or take a picture of it and look at it, because then you can kind of see. You can see what it's supposed to look like or what you want it to look or where you need to add a little bit more depth. And I want to add a little bit more depth in her bangs up here. I picked the worst brush to try to do this with though. So I'm just going in and adding in just a little bit of like gray. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull like a little bit of dark right there. And then I'm going to come back with some of the light. So sometimes you have to work like, you know, do a step and then go back and redo it. So then I can come back here and add like some little wispy pieces with like the like this taupe color. I can add some little wispy hair pieces, and then I can go and lay a little bit of a shadow in there with the hair. And what that does is it creates the illusion of like little wispy hairs. And then I can use the white on top of it. So it's just kind of a trick of the eye. I want to put like a piece right here underneath her. Or that's what I do. I ain't saying it works, you know. I ain't saying I know what I'm doing. I just pretend to know what I'm doing. But and see, like this little piece right here is bothering me a little bit because it's really thick looking. So I can come back and add a little bit more. I can even use that brown like color as another shade, and I can thin it out a little bit. And I can use that taupey color right next to it, and then it thins it out. And so I'm just using different shades of colors to create little brush strokes of hair. So it's like it gets darker, and it's darker on the bottom, and then it gets lighter on the top. So that's how you create that depth. It's just kind of like our hair with like highlights. And then if you have a darker spot, you can layer a white piece that kind of comes over the top of it, like I did there. And that'll create like a little like wisp of hair. Here we go. Yeah. Love it. I'm gonna come back and add just a little bit of white right there too, to create like a little piece of hair. And what I'll do is I'll go back with a little bit of brown underneath it and sort of pull it down. And I could add a little bit of brown underneath that, and even like right here. I'm gonna come back, I've got brown here. I need to add some white, it's like harsh white right there. And I'll show you a little trick. I've never tried this, but I've been researching it, where you can make like a lavender color. Like you can make like lavender, and this is just like color theory, but you can use lavender to create white on a, especially if you have like a yellow undertone. So let's try it and just kind of like see what happens when we add this like lavender color in. I've been wanting to try it. It's almost like it's lavender, but it's like mainly white. And I'm putting it next to, oh, cool. I'm liking that. Stop. Because I'm just using like complementary, it's just like a complementary color. This is kind of cool. So I can go in with this like really like lavenderish color and give, and it doesn't translate to purple or lavender on the canvas. So that's the cool thing, is it just looks like a little highlight of white, which I think is really cool. So there we go. And you can see how I broke that up a little bit more. I could even work a little bit more like right here. And oh, the flowers would be so cute. Gina, I am just self-taught. I mean, I've always drawn, and, you know, I never really painted growing up. I always just drew. And so, just, you know, I just learned by practice and doing it and screwing up and saying, okay, well, that doesn't work. And so the more you do it, the better you get at it. And that is not a lie. You really do. I've been doing, I mean, I've really only been painting for a little over 10 years. So, and I just started it just as, like I said, after my brother passed away, I picked it up as, you know, just a stress relief kind of like thing. I never intended for it to turn into a job or anything like that, but it did, and it's been cool, but that was never my intent. And so here we are. But yeah, just learning and just trying new stuff. And the biggest thing is I just am not afraid to mess up. And if I mess up, I just go, okay, well, I'll just paint over it. And I have messed up. I do mess up all the time. Actually, mess up all the time. Okay, so that gave me a little bit more depth back here. Yeah, I mean, and you would never know that that was lavender. Like, it just makes it pop. But, oh my gosh, I love it so much. So, I think I'm going to leave it alone. But, yeah, definitely try. I'm going to make the highlight just a little bit bigger in the eye. I am going to do that. Yeah, she needed that little highlight in her eye. That makes it, that did the trick. I like that a little bit better. And actually, this is bothering me a little bit too, right here. I want this to come out a little bit more. I want her ear to come out a little bit more right there. Here's the problem, is like you just keep messing with it. It's like, okay, stop. But, you know. But I always use like a photo as a reference, just so I can, and I always look at it as, I look at things as, thank you, Sherry. I look at it as just, this is a parenthesis. This is not a jaw. You know, this is a hole. So the darker I go down into the hole, I want to make it dark. You know, I want to make more, the more I go down, I think about it in ways to, you know, I think about it in like shapes, and I think about naturally, like my hair that's underneath is darker than my hair that is on top. So when you think about it like in real time and you think logically about it, it makes more sense than if you think about things like, oh, I got to paint hair. Well, that makes it more difficult when you think about it that way. So if you just think about it from the standpoint of like shapes and light and dark, you kind of learn a little bit more of what to do and what not to do. And it's, you know, it's all just trial and error. So again, and I'm not an expert, but I just have fun with it and just paint what I like. So I'm glad you hung out with me today, and go paint her. Show me your paintings when you get them done, and I can't wait to see them. But hope you have a good 4th if I don't see you again, but love you big. Bye.